Today is Thursday, the 11th of June 2026. A pleasant good morning to you and a warm welcome to your breakfast show. Good morning, Sierra Leone, the program that always starts your day with analysis and divergence of views on news and current happenings in the country. I am your presenter, Esther Sapu. We start with our quote of the day, and it's from American novelist Saul Bellow, and it says, "A fool can throw a stone in a pond that 100 wise men cannot get out." Well, coming up in this edition of the program, Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association concludes Media Congress 2026 in Kenema with focus to push for zero preventable maternal and child death. Civil society organizations call for a peaceful, free, fair, and credible paramount chieftaincy election in Malem Chiefdom, Pujan District. And Charitable Memorial Hospital partners with the Ministry of Health to improve vision care as they conclude free cataract surgery camp, restoring sight for over 1,600 patients nationwide. These stories are lined up in this edition of Good Morning Sierra Leone. You can send your thoughts or comments on our Facebook page at SLBC.SL or send your comment or text message to the number displayed on your screen. The program is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Stay with us. Welcome back to Good Morning Sierra Leone. It's now time for us to usher in a guest in the program. The Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association marked its 55th years in existence with its Media Congress in Kenema on the theme, "The Role of Health Professionals in Achieving Zero Preventable Maternal and Child Death in Sierra Leone." The multi-day event featured extensive free specialist medical outreaches, surgical procedures, and a scientific symposium aimed at tackling critical public health issues like maternal and child mortality. Prior to the gathering, 4th and 5th June, the SLMD conducted multidisciplinary outreaches spanning internal medicine, dental, obs and gyne, pediatrics and psychiatric, health education, and a blood donation drive, treating thousands of patients in the eastern region. SLMDA President Dr. Ahmed Alassane Sharif said this year's theme ties directly to the national 300 days of activism for zero maternal death, zero child death, and zero dose children. For more on this, we have been joined in the studio by the President of the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Alassane Sharif. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's start the conversation with you telling our viewers how relevant is a media congress for the SLMD as a body?
It's very important. We have two congresses in a year. We have our annual general congress, which is normally towards the end of the year, November. But then we have the media congress. So these two are the most important events in our annual calendar. So for the annual congress, we normally host it in Freetown, but for the media congress, we go to the provinces. So 2 years ago, we were in Bo, last year in Makeni, and this year we're in the eastern region in Kenema. And we strategically intend to do the media congresses in the provinces so that we take services closer to our people. And during this media congress, we have our meeting where, as doctors, we sit down, we look back at the successes that we've recorded over the past 6 months, but also look at the challenges that we faced. We sit down, we share ideas, we strategize for the next, for the coming months. And this year, we looked at the role of healthcare practitioners in achieving zero preventable maternal and child deaths. And what exactly can we as doctors do? Because doctors are the professional leaders when it comes to healthcare. We are on the front lines. We are part of the planning. So we always have to be very clear about what we want to do. But in addition to this, discussion, the deliberations, the planning, we also render services to our people. That was where the idea of the outreach came about. But one thing that made this particular media congress special, number one, it's happening during our 55th anniversary. So we've been in existence for 55 years. For the past 55 years, doctors have played a huge role in healthcare delivery in our country. But the other thing that made it special was this is the biggest and the most diverse outreach we've ever had. So normally we'll go back to 100, 200 patients, but this year we saw 1,050 patients. And we had all the specialties like you've mentioned. We had the dental surgeons performing free dental procedures. We had our eye specialists. We did 35 sight restoring services. Can you imagine how beautiful it was? People regaining their sight, so, and then we had the psychiatrists, the internal medicine practitioners. So it was really beautiful, and this is really normally part of our peak activities, so it's special.
Okay, so you made mention that you saw over 1,000 patients.
Yes.
And when someone goes through like a high operation, there is a follow-up mechanism.
Yes.
To ensure that the person is okay.
Yes.
And the congress is done in Kenema.
Yes.
How will the follow-up be done for these sort of people that went through the surgery?
So that's a very good question. When we go to the outreaches, we went there for 3 days, but the first question we ask ourselves, we want the impact of the outreach to outlive the outreach. So one thing we do, there are doctors there, there are community health officers, there are pharmacists at the hospital. So when we go, we work with them. We have mentorship programs, we have training of the people that we meet there. So even after we've gone, services continue. So that's one way we ensure that even after the outreach, it stays there. But then we have to talk about the role of the health education and sensitization of the community. So we go to the radio stations, we go to the TV stations, the barriers, you were there, you saw it. We talk to people. What can you do to not only achieve but maintain good health? So even after the outreach, this continues. And on your question of the follow-up, our staff on the ground follow up, and even when in Freetown, we are just a call away in case there is something that needs to be looked at.
Okay, so let's talk on the theme that you chose for this year's Media Congress.
Yes.
What's the rationale behind choosing such a theme? Is it that there is a challenge in that area, or the death rate has increased, that you as an association choose to go by this theme for this year's Congress?
Yes, as doctors, we are very clear. The health and well-being of every Sierra Leonean is our priority. But most importantly, for our mothers, why should one be at risk of losing their life when giving birth? We are saying no to that. These children are the future of our country, our future doctors, our future journalists, our future lawyers, presidents even. Why shouldn't them get the chance to at least, complete their childhood, move to adolescence, and achieve, whatever potential God has destined for them? So our position is clear. We know no woman left unborn, no picking off or die from something would able prevent. That was why we chose this theme. That was why we sat down and asked ourselves that these numbers are not making sense. Sierra Leone used to be known, as the worst place for a woman to get pregnant. Why should we accept that? Thankfully, that number has reduced drastically. It was the sharpest drop, globally. There is still some work to be done on the side of the children, but we are committed, we are ready, and it starts with us sitting down, having, candid conversation on what can we do, and we are ready for it.
Okay, so during a presentation, it was highlighted that there are still challenges in accessing medical facilities, be it bad road network or the unavailability of medical supplies. So as an association, how do you come in collaborating so that you can achieve this the goal of having zero maternal death, zero child death, and also zero those children.
So, like you said, it's not a, it's not like there's a solution from one sector or one individual or one organization. We need everybody on board. We need the doctors on board, like the Ministry of Health on board. We need the Ministry of Transport on board. We need to make our roads. So when people are, some of the reasons, some of the causes for these complications affecting our mothers, affecting our children, are the lack of access. And the lack of the poor road networks are contributing to it. So how can we make our roads so that a village that is an hour away can easily get to the healthcare? So it's everybody's role. The doctors have their role, the government has its role, all the religious leaders, the local leadership have their role to play. Everybody has a role to play.
Okay, continue still with us on the program is the president of the Salient Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Ahmed Alassane Sharif, and he has been taking us through the media congress that's concluded in Kenema. Well, we move on to the program as Choitra Memorial Hospital, in partnership with the government of Sierra Leone through the Ministry of Health, on Monday, 8th June 2026, announced the successful completion of its 2-month free cataract surgery camp, a landmark medical outreach that restored sight and transformed the lives of more than 1,600 patients from across the country. The campaign, which ran from the 10th of June to the 10th of April to the 8th of June 2026 at Choitra Memorial Hospital on Hill Station in Freetown, found part of the continuing effort to reduce preventable blindness and expand access to quality eye healthcare services in Sierra Leone. The initiative received support from several international and humanitarian organizations. To enhance the quality of service delivery, a team of specialist eye surgeons and medical personnel from India joined the exercise. In the studio for more, we have the head of Choitra Memorial Hospital, Arish Agnani. Did I pronounce your name well?
Perfect, you are correct.
Okay, welcome to the program.
Thank you, madam.
So tell our viewers the rationale behind you as an hospital providing this free cataract surgery to this set of individuals that's benefited.
Thank you for inviting me. It's not the first time Choitra Memorial Hospital has been involved in such activities. Even in 95, 96, 97, we used to have same surgeries done in Connaught Hospital, but it was in partnership with Rotary Club. But in those days, we used to do only 50 or 100 operations because of limited capacity of Connaught Hospital. But now, being Choitra Hospital, last year, we started this campaign again. So it's not a 2-month campaign, what is mentioned here. It's the surgeons are here for 2 months. But the screening starts about 6-8 months before. The camp is not limited only to Freetown. It's in each and every district where we can reach. We have team based in Bo, Kenema, Kambia, Makeni, all these districts. Ministry of Health has provided us their facilities. So the team screens the patients and then they identify, okay, this patient is ready for cataract operations. When the surgeons come here from India, those patients who have been identified, Choitra Hospital sends a bus from here for them. They don't have to pay transport. We send the bus from here. The bus brings them here. We do the final screening, and then if everybody is ready for it, all operations are done the following day. But it's most of the cases, few patients are not ready for the operations. Why? Because some people have diabetes, some people have blood pressure, which is uncontrollable at that stage. So we give them medication to continue for diabetes and blood pressure, so that whenever they are ready, we'll do the operation again. So the operation is done on the following day. We host them for 3 days over here. We provide them beds, we provide them food, we provide them everything. And when the operation is done, the following day, a follow-up is done by the surgeons again, and those patients who have been successfully operated, the bus again takes them and drops them back to their residence. So it means for the patient, it's a zero cost from his house to back of his house. Means even the transportation, lodging and boarding, everything is covered by Chitram Memorial Hospital.
So
We have done about 1,678 operations this year. Last year we did 1,542. Last year we did 1,542, and touch wood, by the grace of God, all the operations have been very successful. They have been a life-changing experience for many, because without eyesight, you know how difficult even it is for somebody to move around. Some of them were literally a burden on the family, because if you don't have eyesight, you need somebody to assist you, even to do daily needs. But now, when they have the eyesight, they can move around, they are more productive, they have changed their life, we have maintained their dignity, they can go out, they can meet their friends. We know a few grandmothers who know that they have 5 or 6 grandchildren, but she has never seen them. She only knows 2 boys, 1 girl, one is 5 years, one is 2 years, but she has never seen them. But now she can see them, they can feel them, they can enjoy together. So it's a life-changing experience.
So how is the selection process like for this set of people that benefited from
Anyone
this
can
surgery?
come. We don't want to know the religion, we don't want to know the nationality, we don't want to know the tribe. The selection and screening is done by the doctors. Anybody can go there. It's free for all. Even we have expatriates also who have taken advantage of this one. So it's not limited only to Sierra Leoneans, it's for everyone, the place is open.
Okay, so whenever someone does a cataract surgery, the person needs post-operation checks.
Yes.
So how is it going to be for those set of people that came from the provinces to be part of these operations? How would you be able to do post-operation checks after they would have gone to their family?
Freetown, they can come to Chitram Memorial Hospital. We have a ophthalmology department. We have 2 personnel there. They can always go there. As I said, we are in partnership with Ministry of Health. The district hospitals, each and every hospital now has somebody taking care of the eye department. They can go there, they can do the follow-up. In case they need, we are ready again to make a short camp or make a visit. We have doctors based here. Roads to upcountry are very good now, I would say. Going to Kenema, going to Bor, going to Makini or to Cambia is much easier than it was 2 years ago. So, if need be, we will send our team back there to the district hospital to do the follow-up. But touch wood, as I said last year, all 1,542 surgeries were successful and there was no need for follow-up. Because when the patient goes from the hospital, he is giving the follow-up medicines for 1 or 2 months as the case may be. So the patient goes with the eye drops or tablets or whatever they decide to give.
Okay, continue with us on the program. Well, he is the head of Chitram Memorial Hospital and is Arish Agani. He has been taking us through as Chitram gave free cataract surgery to over 1,600 patients from across the country. Well, civil society organizations working to promote human rights, social justice, sustainable development, peaceful coexistence and accountable governance in Pujehun district have expressed concern regarding growing tensions and allegations of the promotion of violence in the forthcoming Paramount Chieftaincy election in Malen Chiefdom, Pujehun district scheduled for the 14th of June 2026. According to the release issued, the organization that have worked closely with communities in Malen Chiefdom over many years say they recognize the significance of this election not only for the people of Malen but also for the consolidation of peace and that is currently being observed and for future development of the chiefdom. The outcome of this election, according to the CSOs, must be determined solely by the legitimate will of the eligible electors and not by intimidation, coercion, political interference, manipulation or abuse of power. Recent reports, public discussions and community concerns suggest that the election is attracting considerable political and economic interest beyond the traditional institution of chieftaincy itself. Such circumstances create an environment where the risk of undue influence, electoral malpractice and post-election conflicts may increase if appropriate safeguards are not in place. In the studio we have the National Coordinator for Land, for like Sierra Leone Banks Combat Levy. Good morning, welcome to the program.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so you put out a press release. Would you explain to members of the public, put into context so they can understand your context?
And several factors are underlined, as I already mentioned. One, as you said, the names of the people, but also the external interference. And we also understand that a lot of people are going to expect that they must win. And also,
Well, that is an election. So they should expect
This
to
is
win.
why we are sending out warning shots to say, please, let us do it the right way. Why elections turn out to be the way they do? Because one, the process itself, those who are facilitators of the process, if they are genuine, they are neutral, they don't have any vested interest, and then you want to believe that the process will be credible, free and fair. But also if there are no external interference. So for instance, some elections you will see importation of youth, violent people to go to Chidom, and these are also factors that we have started to imagine that may happen, that the use of excessive force from the state police, if they are also neutral, they are ensuring that everybody have their rights, because we have also seen that in most elections, the part that the forces play can also undermine the credibility, the peace and stability of the process, but also the preparedness of the mindset of those who are contesting. Election is not a do or die business. It's a win or lose. There's no other path to it. Either you win or you lose. So your mindset must be neutral in between those two factors, that I might win, I might lose. Unfortunately, most people think they must win. And if they think they must win, that's actually one point that we want to point out and say, please be careful. So we are not for now pointing fingers at anyone. We are not seeing any possibility of foul play, but we are very much concerned that it's a very contentious process because, as I said, the names are big and they all have power. And when power is at play, you know when power is at play, everybody is going to use their political muscles. You're talking about a sitting honorable member of parliament, you're talking about an incumbent family, and even within the family, there's already a number of people that are coming from the same family. And you're also talking about probably somebody affiliated with the chief minister. So these are factors that are very much prominent that can throw
Okay, as civil society organizations, how do you come in engaging those that will be voting for these candidates so that they can get the understanding that they should vote for what is good for them and not based on who they know and what they should vote for, what will benefit them? How do you come in as civil society organizations?
You see, the paramount chieftaincy election is not like any other ordinary election that we do have, like national elections, where it is actually universal service right of every adult. In the paramount chieftaincy elections, they have voters they call the TA, the tribal authorities, who are actually determined by the number of taxes, local taxes that are sold. So, I mean, I think the process is that after every 19, the 20th becomes a voter. The process is a democratic process, you cannot question it. That's actually how the law says. And we cannot for now determine who are these voters. We don't even know them. Because anyone can be opportune to be a voter today. Once you are an indigene of Malin chiefdom and you are able to be, by the way, it actually has to be a coincidence that the 19th, the 20th taxpayers has to be the TA. However, based on experience, people can also act along that line and buy a lot of taxis. So if you are able to buy 100 taxis, you've already gotten 5 TAs within the 100. So somebody can buy 1,000 and able to actually maybe secure like 50 voters. And if you are lucky, you're also able to, because determining the number is also one, but also allocating this number to voters who are convinced that they must vote for you. And so these are so many, added to what I've already said, there are so many factors that we are concerned about. So what we do as talking to them, we first of all, before now, you must have heard about the 2019 February incident where lives were lost and they were related to land rights. You must have heard about a lot of other incidents, demonstrations, grievances, and contestation over land. So these are actually related to peace building. So peace building has been our key interest. And Land for Life, what we do alongside our partner organization, Green Scenery, and WONAPI, which is actually Women's Network Against Rural Plantation Injustice in the Massacoy and Rahal. We have been working together to mobilize and promote multi-stakeholder dialogue and engagement. So in Pujo, we have what we call the District Multi-Stakeholder Platform. They are a composition of all the relevant district stakeholders who have stake in land governance and human rights. So for instance, the Office of National Security, the DO, the council, the CSO, the land person, they all come together, and including the traditional authority, the paramount chief, they sit on a meeting every month to kind of determine conflict identifiers, factors of conflict, and then they go ahead to prevent this conflict. So along that line, this has been our work in Malin, and successfully since we started working, immediately after the February 2019 conflict to now, we have not had any major conflict in that chiefdom that may lead to the loss of life. We have had grievances, we have had demonstrations, but we have not had a serious one that may lead to any loss of life. So this is actually the trend we want to maintain. And today we are talking about a place where peace is there, relative peace is being enjoyed, also coupled with the intervention recently of the Chief Minister himself through a dialogue and the signing of MOU with the company. So these are factors that are very promising we want to maintain. We don't want a situation where after the election then there is a deep division again, there is grief and malice because of the past election. So today everybody is alive. We want it to be like this. We don't want after the election news about maybe gunshot, about somebody being wounded or somebody being
Has that
killed.
been the case for previous elections?
Unfortunately, we have not had a recent election in that space that is related to paramount chieftaincy. Of course, we have had political elections like the one in 2023. And along that line, Malin has been relatively peaceful because, you know, the Honorable Shaka Sama has consistently been the member of parliament from that chiefdom like 3 times. And the recent one is under proportional representation, so there was no need for specific territorial interest. It was actually district-based, and you know Pujon is also largely aligning with one party roadmap. So because of that, there has not been any serious contestation, except we had an incident in Pujon town itself between APC and SLPP during the national election. Okay. But specifically in Pujon, Malin itself, there has not been politically related conflicts that we can point fingers at. And this is why we don't want this one to be a case study of recent.
Okay, continue to stay with us on the program is Barnes Komba. Leby is the national coordinator for Land for Life, Sierra Leone. Well, we quickly take a health tip of today. Today we look at tips for keeping the brain health with nutrition. Our brains are built from what we consume. An eating plan like the MIND diet can support brain health by limiting oxidative stress. The diet emphasizes fresh produce, lean meats, and whole grains while limiting sugars and processed foods. Let us watch and learn from a health tip of today.
Our bodies and brains are actually made up of the food we eat, the air we breathe, the fluids we drink. The healthier those components, the healthier the scaffolding, the materials that are used to construct our brain and our bodies, the stronger our brains and bodies will be. And we recommend the MIND diet. It's a combination of the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet, which was developed specifically for vascular health in people who have high blood pressure. But I like its relatively simple format. There are 10 types of foods that they recommend getting lots of, 5 types of foods that they recommend getting little of or minimizing, and they give you the actual number of servings per week or per day that you want to aim for, particularly the fresh fruits and vegetables and lean meats, whole grains also, and then trying to stay away from processed sugar, staying away from fatty foods. Sometimes I tell patients who are still having some struggles, you know, the closer a food is to the way it came from nature, the more likely it is to be good for you. As we process, in this case, we're talking about foods, but in general, body processes are associated with byproducts of those processes. And digesting food, processing food is associated with byproducts, some of which are oxidizing entities. That is the oxidative stress. Chronic oxidative stress is not good for a whole host of diseases of the body and the brain. And it does appear that oxidative stress is an important player in both the initiation of Alzheimer's disease as well as its rate of progression. And that's likely true for other degenerative conditions as well. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We're not tumbling towards cognitive decline. But each day we make decisions that can contribute to or detract from brain health. Try and make more decisions each day that contribute to your overall brain health.
Welcome back. Hope you learned a lot on my health tip of today. The program is Good Morning Sierra Leone live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. We still have Dr. Ahmed Alassane Shaif, who is the president of the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association. And as earlier he was taking us to the Media Congress in Kenema. Now you have been silent for a while. Let me bring you in. So I'm quite sure during the Congress you guys came up with recommendations as to how you as health workers can collaborate in ensuring that you achieve the theme that you chose for this year's Congress. So would you mind taking us through some of these recommendations that we have reached at the end of the day?
Yes, I'll share a few. One of them is to embark to conduct some more training and capacity building activities so as to build the capacity of our members, of course in collaboration. And we recently had one which was implemented by the Pediatric Association of Sierra Leone, where they had a training on newborn care for doctors, nurses, and community health workers. So we're going to have a few more of those. But then the second one is to push for more supplies, in our hospitals, of challenges of maybe there are not enough gloves, there are not enough medical supplies. So the recommendation is to move to try to bring as many stakeholders on board so that we can be getting this support. So those were like the two main highlights. But then the third one, which I will also want to mention, is on the leadership and accountability. As doctors in our hospitals, we need to really play that role, bring other people on board, have that understanding that you can't do it alone. How do we mentor the junior doctors, even the medical students who are coming, so that we all work towards this agenda? Because when the vision is clear and you bring people on board and you work towards it, it's easier for you to make it happen.
So how do you plan on engaging communities so that they can understand? Because most of the time when children die, they die of preventable based on the research that was done. And our families have roles to play. At times it's due to the negligence that some of these children die. How do you engage communities so that they can understand that some of these illnesses that these children suffer for can be prevented and they cannot die in the process?
So one of the tools is to engage more in our health education drive, not only on site but also online. Both on the social media platforms, radio and TV programs like this. So we have our program Within the Doctor Say, which we host with here at SLBC. So we are hoping now our next step is to have something like a simulcast with all the radio and TV stations so that the coverage increases. Let's bring doctors on board, engage these communities, let people ask questions, let there be calls, let there be text messages, we respond to them. But also on social media, going to marketplaces, religious spaces. So it's about engaging the community, having conversations, listening to their concerns, because there is also the aspect of public trust. When you engage with people, you hear the concerns they have about our hospitals, about our healthcare practitioners, you address those concerns, it increases the trust that the people have in the system, and that makes it easier for them to come. But it all starts with that, having that understanding.
Okay, so during the 2-day outreach,
Yes.
we spoke to some members that benefited from the drive, and most of them made mention that it is just a 2-day thing.
Yes.
So as an association, do you have plans on extending the day, because we saw a host of people lining up to be part of these free treatments, but the number of days was not enough. Are there plans of expansion?
So it's not about the number of days. So we see this event as, as a trigger, as something to trigger a movement. So as I'm speaking to you now, our outreach still continues, but now with those that are there. So we donated medication there. Like I told you about the training we have with the staff. So even after we've left, so it was something like an awakening of the health center that, guys, this is what we want to do. So the target now is for us to go to another place, and hopefully we are thinking about the western area, rural this time. Go there.
Because I wanted to ask, most of the time you go to the provinces for your media congress, and we have people in Sierra Leone that want to benefit from these services.
So we are going to the western area, rural. That's our plan now. It's just about, you just create that tempo, just tell guys, this is what, just mobilize people, and the action continues even after you have left. So it's not about how long we take, it's about, just that reawakening, just that ignition, just that drive, that kickstarting. That's what the 2 days, really are about.
So what's next after the media congress? Because many a time people say we have most of these programs, the talk shop, they just bring up strategies, put out data, then the implementation is a challenge.
Yes.
So what's next as an association in ensuring most of the findings that were done by your presenters, it's actually being seen in the health sector in Sierra Leone?
So we have the recommendations are clear. So we are meeting as an executive next week. How do we put those recommendations now into smart plans, implementable plans? So that's what we are planning to do next.
Okay.
But you just stay tuned. You are going to see what is coming up.
Okay, thank you very much. He is the president of the Sierra Leone Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Ahmed Sharif, as an association held a media congress in Kenema on the theme, the role of health professionals in achieving zero preventable maternal and child death in Sierra Leone. We still have the head of Troita Memorial Hospital, Arish Agnani, in the studio. Now, how has the level of collaboration been between you and the Ministry of Health? Because you stated that this is not the first time that you have been giving these free cataract surgeries to Sierra Leoneans.
We have a very good cooperation from the Ministry of Health. In fact, we are using their premises in upcountry because we don't have a location in upcountry. In Kenema, the government hospital is there, we do the screening. In Bo, government hospital, it's there we do the screening. Ministry of Health provides the personnel there. We definitely have to pay them some incentive so that they do a better work for us over there. So they are working overtime also for us because the number of patients are too many. So there has been a very good cooperation from Ministry of Health, and we have always thanked them for the wonderful cooperation we have received from them, especially when we are using their own premises, and especially again when they are ready to take the follow-up cases also. So that is one of the thank you to them. Apart from providing services, Chetram also believes in building the local capacity. Last year, after the camp, we decided that we will send 7 nurses from here to India. So they went there for 2 months of service. They took the training in operation theatre, in nursing care, and now they are one of the backbones of the camp which was held this year. Last year it took us 4 months to do 1,542 surgeries, but this year we completed 1,678 surgeries in only 2 months. Every day we were doing 50 cataract operations. So it's not limited to cataract operations only. The doctors have to do the operations, screen the patients again for next day, and do the follow-up also for the patients who were operated. So in fact, the team was screening or seeing more than 200 patients per day and doing 50 operations per day. The Ministry of Health also deployed their own personnel in the camp so that they can also have on-ground training when the camp was on. And they were very thankful for what we have done for them, because it's the practical training which is more important than the book knowledge.
So apart from you doing these surgeries for these people, do you in any way do awareness raising? Because you can see over the years the number of people that suffer from eye increases by the day. Do you do awareness raising so people can understand that the activities they do can affect their eyes?
Yes, we have continuous training for the Ministry of Health personnel also, and as I said, it's not during the camp we do the screening. The screening starts 4-5 months ahead. So the team goes to various locations like Bo, Makeni, Tombo, everywhere, and they do explain the public that what you should be doing and what you should not be doing it. And if you have cataract, please register yourself. You will be getting free surgeries from Chaitra Memorial Hospital. And this is the second year we have done it, and God willing, if everything is well, again next year we will do it. And next year our target will be 2,000 surgeries.
Thank you very much. He's the head of Chaitra Memorial Hospital, Arish Adnani, taking us through as they, as an hospital, did 1,600 surgeries for people that had cataract. Well, we still have Bans, Komba, Lebi from a civil society organization that is campaigning, as they don't want violence to happen in the upcoming Man chieftaincy elections. So for our viewers to understand more, how would you ensure that you reach out to these paramount chiefs? Have you in any way tried reaching out to them so that they can understand that this election has a lot to do for the peace of the people that are living in Malen Chiefdom?
So they are not the paramount chiefs.
The contestants.
They are contending. They want to be paramount chiefs. So I don't want to be very specific on anyone, but majority of them, they are being indigents of Malen Chiefdom, so they have been attending most of our engagements that we have been organizing in the chiefdom. So directly or indirectly, we have been meeting them. But also, these kinds of opportunities that you've granted us is also a way of reaching out to them. And also the press release that you've just sent out is also a message to them. And several other ways. We have our colleagues who are on ground, who are currently working with them. We have an alliance with the media, journalists are there, we have local partners, civil society organizations, and also the district multi-stakeholder platform members are also there. So indirectly we are sending this message to them, and it's actually their responsibility, but not squarely theirs. It is also the responsibility of those entrusted with the trust to carry out and facilitate the election process. So the Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs has a role in this. As I already had mentioned, the police, the forces, but also probably the NEC, because I know NEC, the National Electoral Commission, is going to play a role because they actually are the facilitators of public elections. Once they are willing to do the right thing, I think there will be no violence. We have had a very successful, what they normally call Declaration Day, where those who thought they were not going to be granted the right to contest, they have been granted that right, so it went on peacefully. And that is actually one indicator that the right thing will happen. Once it remains like this, there will be no cause to worry, but human nature, we are unpredictable. So a lot of factors are still there, and we are concerned, especially the post-election activities. So normally people go into election with a very positive mind, and once they are declared losers, they tend to say, no, the election was rigged, the election was that, and then that's actually what aggravates the followers and leads to violence. If you take it from that perspective, then it's actually the responsibility, as you said, on the contestant to prepare the mind or set of their followers, their supporters. it's never a do or die. It's never a win must. It must be a lose or win. And once you are prepared for a lose or win, so you are prepared for a better outcome of the election.
So as CSOs, how do you come in engaging? Because engagement is very much important. You as civil societies, your role is to advocate for the people in Sierra Leone. So how do you come in and engage in those players that you've mentioned? Be it the security sector, be it the electoral commissioners, be it the paramount chiefs that are contesting for this election, and even the people in Malen Chiefdom. Because if the elections come out peaceful, they are the ones that are going to benefit. If it comes out the other way around, they are the ones that are going to suffer. So how do you come in?
So it's part of our role. So what we are doing as I speak tomorrow will be possibly in Mali. We are going to organize public awareness on Saturday, and that's actually, the election is set on Sunday. So it's actually, we're going to use PA system to move around in the major villages of the chiefdom to talk to people, to exercise peace. But also, we are also going to engage the security forces to also put some strategies.
Because they are key.
They are key. For instance, if they are able to stop the entrance of many people who are not actually having any stake in the election, that alone can help. If you see a truck loaded of youth, you should be concerned, why are they coming to Mali? They are not voters. They don't have any, this is actually a typical election that is actually primarily for the people of San Mali, not for any other person outside. So there should be no business of anybody who wasn't a stake. For us, we are not from Mali, but at least we can say we have a role to go and sensitize people against electoral violence. The police who are going to go from Wo to back up those in Pujon and in Mali, because Mali also has a police post, by the way. So all of them have stake in this. The media have a stake, the other stakeholders, but any other person who, even influx of political leaders from Bo and other people must be reduced. Because the more you have supporters not residing or residing in San Malin, going to observe or going to witness the election, then they have their followers. You know, politicians have their henchmen that are around them. These are actually those who are actually going to spark some possible violence.
How do you think that can be prevented? Because those are supporters of some of these people that are contesting for
awareness
the election.
Awareness of the fact is key, and that is actually why we are speaking about it now, not waiting until the day. So now the police, if they are listening to me, they are watching the television, they may know that concerns have already been raised about violence. So they may try to, maybe the IG is watching, he should be concerned, he should be able to now call the regional commanders in Bo, but also the LEC of region, to see how are you ensuring that election goes on peacefully without violence. And that's actually why we are talking about it now.
So quickly, before we let you go, what will be your message to the people of Samani and also the political leaders that you mentioned, so as to ensure that there's a peaceful paramount chieftaincy election in Samani Chiefdom?
In that regard, may I speak Creole to the people of Samani? Duya mi famode na Malin Chiefdom. This na una brother Lance Kombalebi, we don't can na Chiefdom na San, and a lot of other villages Nandong for whole meetings. I talk to una all. I start with the contestants there, from the first person to the last. Do ya this election not to do or die, not to must win, now win or lose. Make sure say the one day when they get right for votes, make them vote. The one day when they not get right for vote, make them host them. Make this election happen peacefully without violence. Do ya Papa Police, make una do una work right, Ministry of Local Government, and any other person who gets stake in that election, do ya make we do the way the law say and make it happen. And nobody no loss in life, and no violence not happen. Make the peace where the inside Mali continue as it is.
Okay.
This is the message.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the National Coordinator for Land for Life, Sierra Leone Bands, Komba Levy, as he is calling for peace, as the Samale will be hosting their own paramount chieftaincy election in Malin Chiefdom. Well, on that note, that's how we draw the curtains of Good Morning Sierra Leone that came to you from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Many thanks to our producer, Daphne, Zainab, coming also to the technical team. And also to my wonderful guests for making the program an interesting one. Good morning, Sarah Lynn returns tomorrow, but before we go, I'll quickly take our quote of the day. And it's from American novelist Saul Bellow, and it says, "A fool can throw a stone in a pond that 100 wise men cannot get out." Well, I have been Esther Sako. Have a wonderful day. Stay glued to the SLBC if you can. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available Brown Gold Natural Cocoa Powder, Sunny Gold Brown Sugar, Neat Fufu Flour, Shito, Pisa, and Moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original taste.